Hour 2 Overdrive continues. Brought to you by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Role play level of concern later in the hour. Leafs back in action. Four nations face off. The Swedes and the Finns. Their team has been announced. The Americans and the Canadiens will officially be announced in the next couple of hours. And here's our TSN hockey insider, Darren Dreger, joining us in studio. What are we expecting in an hour, Dregs? We have a good idea of what to be expecting of the next 2 hours when it comes to Canada?
Pretty good idea.
Pretty good idea?
Even though I think I have an equally good idea on what Team USA is going to look like, that's more compelling to me than what Team Canada looks like. And only because I think one is trying to play off the other, and it does feel like Canada is trying to match up competitively against what will be a powerhouse in Team USA, which, after the fact, and we're not going to know this until they start playing games in February, does it matter or doesn't it matter, right? But Team USA is loaded for bear.
How do people who are making these decisions handle the disappointing phone calls? Because it seems like whether it's the World Juniors, we just talked about it before we came on air, four nations face up, people are pissed that they're not involved in this in either level, man.
Yeah. I mean, I would think, maybe not for everyone, but, if you're talking about Drew Doughty, I think Pierre LeBrun talked about this, or Chris Johnson yesterday, it's all kind of funneling together here. He'd get a call. No, I know, but he'd get a call to say, all right, I mean, if you were healthy enough, chances are you're on our team. If you're healthy enough in February and there's an injury, you're going to be on this team. I don't know that they extended that same sort of gesture or level of respect to, say, John Tavares, who, I think he's going to be crushed when the reality sets that he's not on this team. Doesn't mean he can't make the team between now and February, depending on injury. But I think for a few of those guys, if not more than a few, I think they'd reach out to say, hey, this is a tough decision. And it is. It's a difficult process.
Don't you think, for a guy like Tavares, who's played very well this season and went to the Worlds and all that, he might, again, you're going to be crushed, but if you're looking at the bigger picture,
go get drunk in Bahamas.
34 years old.
For 10 days straight.
All day, man. Although he's got young kids. That's not happening.
But you might welcome the actual physical break of playing because you're trying to go with the Toronto Maple Leafs deep into the playoffs. So I think there's a chicken or the egg here. Personally, yes, you want to make that team.
Yeah.
But you're also 34, and you want to make sure you've got juice for when it matters for your, we'll call it, day job.
Yeah, no, he wants to be on this team. Right. As you know, he's a competitive guy. Everybody in the league would want to play for their country because it's not best on best. I keep correcting people when they say it's best. It's not best on best.
No.
Russia can't play in the event. It's not best on best. It's the best of what's available, playing the best of what's available. And every player in the National Hockey League does want to represent their country. What I'm getting, though, from general managers, especially this week, and you guys would understand this, is, I like the idea of my guys going, and it's a boost in their confidence, and it's a recognition of the year that they've had. But I don't mind the idea of them not going and sitting back and staying as in good a shape as they can, but recharging a little bit and getting ready for what really matters, and that's the end of the regular season, the playoffs. So there is something to that. But, okay, if we're talking about Tavares as an example, and I don't know that he would be this way, but it kind of feeds off of what Jeff just said. Here. Let's say there's an injury, right? Like, he's entitled to a break. His wife, his family, every spouse deals with a lot when, their husband, their father is playing in the National Hockey League. That call comes a week before the event starts because Seth Jarvis got hurt. Okay, you canceling your trip to wherever the hell you're taking your family to spend some quality time with your family because your country is calling, and gosh darn it, I should be there. Right. I don't know.
I don't know either. That's why I don't know this, but I wouldn't be surprised if Hockey Canada's telling two or three guys, keep it on your radar. You just missed.
You have to.
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah.
So I guess you lay the framework now, just in case, just so you know you're on the radar here, you still could be playing. It's somewhat of a consolation prize. I'm sure, again, the players won't love hearing that, but it would put it on their radar that they could still possibly be taking part.
Yeah.
And, I'm sure we'll figure out who those guys are as we get closer to the tournament. As for the Americans, I think a testament to what they've built as a program is that maybe for the first time we're going to have, snubs for the Americans, where that's been our history up here forever. Every 4 years, it's who missed it. You can put together a B club that might be the second best team in the world or close to it. Where, like, based on what I'm seeing online, I don't know if you're hearing, Dregs, but, like, Tage Thompson, probably not on the American team. That kid's a stud, Tage Thompson.
Yeah.
Not on the team. You've got
Caulfield.
Caulfield's got, what has he got, 16 goals?
Yeah.
Not on the American team.
Yeah.
You know, like, there's legit players down in the States that are not on it. Demko's been hurt, but he's not going to make it. But if he was healthy, Swayman wouldn't make it. Maybe Demko would make it. Odger would make it.
Yeah,
Swayman made it, we believe.
Yeah.
But, like, that's a testament to what they're building there, is that they have snubs in
but
the States.
I think, again, what USA Hockey and what Hockey Canada is learning from is recent history, right? And, you know, when the NHL players were playing in the Olympics, what led to success? Was it the high-scoring offense, or was it just that lethal combination? And again, I think Canada's never going to admit this, but they're looking specifically at what the USA is going to throw at them. Well, I was going to say just up front, but look at defense. I mean, they could put a 7-man unit of Hughes, Fox, McAvoy. Faber probably deserves to be in the conversation.
Werenski's been good.
Noah Hannafin. I mean, I heard today that the Vegas Golden Knights could have as many as 7 players.
In the tournament.
Wow. You know.
That's pretty good. I mean, they're a really good team.
But you mentioned Caulfield and you mentioned Tage Thompson. And for me, I think, believe it or not, they're on the outside looking in.
Yeah.
And then I hear a name like Vinny Trocheck. And you're like, you know,
good playoff performer, though.
Really, you know, what's another one? Well, Dylan Larkin wouldn't be much of a surprise.
Well, Brock Nelson's a guy that's on the radar.
But again, it depends on how you view what those players are going to bring to the table as opposed to Caulfield.
Exactly, because if you look at what Tage Thompson can bring to the table over Brock Nelson, you're like, Tage Thompson's a stud. Yeah. How is he not on this team?
But they might look at it and say, we have Jack Eichel to play that role.
That's exactly
so Eichel's going to do
exactly
that.
right.
It's a two-way style. Like, they might be building a team, not an all-star team.
Yeah. And look, again, you know, hey, I was impressed at how hard the Montreal Canadiens played last night, to be fair, because I know that was a worry with some of the information leaking out yesterday, especially. You got a game to play, right? Yeah. And Caulfield, I don't know if he spends any time online. Somebody's probably texting, whispering in his ear, hey, dude, I just heard these guys talk about you not being on Team USA. But you got to park that and get going. And collectively, you know, there's others. Nick Suzuki for Team Canada. I have him on the outside looking in. Now, we talked about Sam Montembeault being the third goalie, so maybe he was fired up.
He was really good last night.
Like both goalies that should be on or are going to be on Team Canada were outstanding last night.
Aiden Hill was great.
But I talked to an old international coach about this yesterday, and I was specific to Caulfield just in my mind of him being on the outside. And he said, look, man, I understand the goal side of things, and there are people in Montreal and around, you know, the USA that aren't going to get it because of the goal total. He's like, players like that, not just because of size, how he plays the game, the way he plays, you get pushed out of tournaments like this. And you just can't have that. That's why, and we talked about it last night on Overdrive, you know, if Zach Hyman is omitted, I mean, in a short tournament, a guy like Hyman, like players like that, workhorses, can dominate tournaments like this, right? And so I think that, again, speaks to my belief that there should have been a place for Hyman on Team Canada. And I understand why Caulfield couldn't make Team USA when you look at some of the other names we're going to see.
Well, and add insult to injury in the case of Tage Thompson, Alex Tuch. Look what happened last night in Buffalo. They get booed off the ice. They're up 4-0 quick. They lose 5-4 in regulation.
It's crazy.
And it's just
kind of how things work.
It just continues to unravel. It's the same thing with Montreal, where they won last night, but I'm sure Habs fans are like, really? Suzuki isn't on this team? Caulfield isn't on this team? If you're the Americans, if you're Buffalo, you're like, really? Tage Thompson? Like, it just keeps piling on.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to win during the regular season with their club team, and they're not going to get the international experience. Because that's all you could ask for, I would think.
I agree.
At least get that opportunity to make something out of a season
but
is going awry here.
You know what we'll also hear from after the fact? I mean, you're not going to get the general managers for Canada or the United States as part of the network coverage tonight that are going to acknowledge, okay, it's fine. This is just the four nations. No, it matters. It matters. It's the first international event in a long, long time. But what I've been told, especially from the U.S. side, is, okay, just relax. Cole Caulfield has time. Tage Thompson has time. The Olympics are right around the corner. And those two guys are going to be deep into that conversation, along with a long list of top-end American guys, and likewise for Team Canada.
Well, we were bringing up the idea of some of these guys on any of these teams might get pissed, and if something else comes along around the corner, they might be like, lose my number, man. Don't even think about it. I would be like that.
That's not the Canadian way. Oh, you know.
You'd be rattled.
You did it once at the men's Worlds. I don't quite remember.
I mean, you might think, though, and it's possible with an injury or whatever, like they could be on what you were talking about, that short list of, hey, like
be ready.
Yeah, buy a refundable ticket. Be ready in the next 2 months if there is an injury or something. Like I think,
and you got to answer the call
Zach
at that
Hyman
point.
Would be a guy would be considered. Be like, hey, let's have you on call. You've been injured. You haven't had a great start, but we do believe you would be a guy.
And Tavares would be as well. But he feels like, to me, again, I don't represent John Tavares, and the Toronto Maple Leaf angle of it doesn't matter one iota to me. But he went to the men's Worlds. Mm-hmm. Played his back end off there, had a good off season, and how do you argue with the year that he's had?
Had a good year. Had a really good start.
And I just thought, hey, Seth Jarvis likely the 13th forward if that's the way it works out. I get it. I mean, he's an aggressive player, but I can make a long case for John Tavares.
There's a few guys you could do that
Jarvis,
for.
like if you're looking at it, if he's on the outside like as your 13th player, maybe this is an investment as to like, let's have him in the program, see what this looks like a year from now.
That's a big part of it, I think.
Because he's younger and, Tavares being 34. Like you're also looking at what you're doing now, but an investment in the future from a year from now. That comes to mind with Montembeault too. Because
right. You're going to need someone next year because no one's coming miraculously on a white horse up here.
Guys, so like, okay, let's see what you can do in the next calendar year. Yeah. And, I think that's part of it too, factoring in is like, the investment of the future of these guys, and you look at the age and where they're playing.
Darren Dreger in studio. We mentioned Buffalo. That was heartbreaking last night for them. They were crushed in the postgame. They got booed off the ice. Buffalo, Detroit, Ottawa, Montreal. Of those four, who do you think is the most likely to have to rebuild from the rebuild? Like, of those four, which owner is going to say, guys, I'm not doing this anymore? We got to restart because they've been knocking on the door.
Dude, how could it possibly be Buffalo? The Buffalo for Jerry Pagula to say, I'm not doing this anymore?
Yeah.
He's been doing it for 10 years.
They haven't made the playoffs in 13 years.
Yeah.
13 years.
I think it's Detroit.
I think Detroit's the most likely?
You always, correct me if I'm wrong, but you always say, who's the superstar to build around?
I don't see it in Detroit.
They don't have it.
Like Raymond's good.
They're
Larkin's
all nice
good.
players. Raymond's
Sider's
good.
good.
Sider's a good player. Is there a superstar to build around or somebody who projects to be?
No. Too many holes in Detroit. I'm with Noodles on this. You know what? And like Eisenman's had enough time. He's had plenty of time. The pieces that they've drafted and brought in, there's some nice players there.
Yeah.
But to your point, no one that kind of you can hook up and say, okay, this is a franchise player is going to lead us past that line. They're in trouble. I talked about this last week on Insider Trading, the fact that I thought Derek Lalonde obviously was on the clock, but I was specific to the homestand that they just came out of and felt like if they went 0-3, he's probably getting dusted. Mm-hmm. They didn't go 0-3, but they also didn't sweep in that. And they're in the exact same place today that they were last Thursday, 3 points out of a wild card spot. But I do get the sense from people that I trust around the Red Wings that they're feeling it.
Yeah.
They're feeling it. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean that, okay, you dump Derek Lalonde and you give Bobby Bugner or Verratti the head coaching title on an interim basis? Then you see if a piece like Mike Sullivan pops up at the end of the... I don't know, but it does feel like the roster needs attention, more so in Detroit than maybe anywhere else.
Yeah, I like you can look to star players, and it's not just that clearly. You need more than that. But they're all in a position here where, again, Boston, I don't know if they stole 2 points last night, but Detroit was in the driver's seat. It was a good game.
That was actually a really good
Boston ends up winning in overtime, and, Sacco, since he's taken over, they've won some games. And Boston's back in a position where they're in the playoffs.
Did you hear Zadorov, by the way, with Emily Kaplan? Was it before the game or
who was he talking about?
Well, he said we've been better. I'm not going to put words in his mouth. He didn't say we've been better since the coaching change.
Okay.
But he did say since the coaching change, we've done X, Y, and Z.
Oh, really? That's nice. Well, listen, I would say Montgomery's done a pretty good job down there.
How about Monty and St. Louis?
Monty's on fire down there, but Well, Zadorov, I mean, he's a new guy there too, right? Like he's got no history in Boston. He's played 25 games.
It just adds to the fire, though. The coaches are just going to get fired and fired because of these examples.
Yeah,
they get a new coach and it works for 20 games.
Yeah,
like that's why
the new coach bump is legit.
It is legit.
It is legit. It works. It happens. Leafs Nashville tonight, and Yanni Hakanpää is on the Finnish team. Yet he's on the IR with the Leafs. He's played 2 games in a year. Like we can't. Yeah, exactly. Like this is a long-term play for the Finns. I can't figure that out.
Dude, what's your facial expression going to be if he's QB in the PP for the Finns?
I kind of expect he plays. I would assume Yanni Hakanpää shows up and is playing and blocking shots, and he's an animal for Finland. But
I mean,
good for him.
That would mean he comes back here and he feels good about his game.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, they haven't missed him here. It's not like they've committed long term to him. He's just on IR. If he can play, he'll play. But the Leafs with Nashville in town tonight. Joseph Wall getting a start, and the Craig Berube bump is a thing as well. I mean, they're leading their division. Gone pretty well for Craig.
It's gone really well for him. For me, I'm more curious watching a game like tonight to see what you're going to see from the Nashville Predators, because Trotz is just openly talking about the kind of stuff that he thinks he's going to have to do in the not too distant future. And I had a brief exchange with him earlier today, and it's just like, lots of talk, but no action. So,
well, there is no action because it's like, what is someone going to take some of these signings off of his hands?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's
what's he going to do?
Yeah,
that's a good question.
Not the big guys he brought in. No,
they can't go anywhere. But
I would start. You know what? Again, when it's too early for this, but we always talk about the teams that are looking for centers. You know, the Calgary Flames want a top 6 center, and this team wants a center. And that, come on, it's like top 4 defense. This time of year, you're not going to find them. Hey, the Maple Leafs are going to try and improve their third, fourth line. Fourth line guy who can kick up into the third line. Mm-hmm. Is there? You're looking all day long at a team like the Nashville Predators. If
Absolutely.
they get into a tough spot later in the season in advance of the trade deadline, maybe there's a fit there with one of those experienced centers.
I would think so. I mean, I think we've hit a point in the season now where you kind of have an idea of who is likely going to be selling and who likely.
Who wants to pull the trigger first on saying we're junk?
That's the question. Like if you're in Nashville, once you do that, you're admitting we're done effectively.
Or a team that's like the Leafs that's dealing from a position of strength.
Correct.
To go, I'll put like the Jimmy Rutherford.
Yeah.
I'll get ahead of this. I like that player, and before everyone else starts lining up.
We had Jimmy on last year, and he was like, right before the All-Star game or something. He was like, I might do something tonight. You never know. And that night, he made a blockbuster.
Yeah, he did. It was a blockbuster.
It was for Lindhomer. He got Lindhomer right in Calgary.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. And we tried to push him on it a little bit, but he wouldn't give us the details. But he basically said, buckle up, something's coming. Well, he did that in Pittsburgh, too. Remember when he had Murray and who's the other goal? Was it Jari?
Or Jari.
It was Jari.
Oh, yeah, he's like one of these goalies.
Oh, yeah. We're going to trade one of these guys. We're like, okay.
It's Murray and Jari. And he's like, I got to get rid of one of these goalies before expansion or something like that, right?
Yeah.
But he flat out said it on our show. Yeah. I just look at these teams that are near the top or at the top being proactive.
Yeah.
Sure.
If you're at the bottom, you can take your time to build up a marketplace for the players that you're going to move.
Right, and when are you comfortable that you have the price and that's the price, and you got to accept the price because it does take 2 to tango. And speaking of Jim Rutherford, he shot down any JT Miller rumors today because those have been circulating that Miller could be on the.
Now, in fairness, though, I should have let you finish. You're going to say it could be in play on the block. Right?
Well, those are rumors.
In fairness to everything, when that happens to a player, those types of talks happen. Like everybody's calling saying, "What's up with that guy?"
Exactly, and I do know Chris Drury at least reached out to the Vancouver Canucks specific about JT Miller, and Vancouver doesn't have an interest in trading him. Like when he's healthy and he's playing the way that we've seen him play with the Vancouver Canucks, man, all day long, because he leads that team into the fight every single night. So their focus is on getting him healthy. And I think JT Miller is going to be on Team USA, and why shouldn't he be?
Well, exactly. I mean,
Why
the guy's a
shouldn't he be?
stud of
You know?
a
Yeah,
player.
he's a
I
very
mean,
good
he
player.
is. And that's like I haven't heard any updates on him or this. I know they hit the road and then he wasn't on the road trip. But like, how do you go about reporting a scenario like that? It's so unique where he's away for personal reasons.
I just check on the timeline, right? And it's almost a week by week check. It's not a day by day check. And as the road trip was winding up, I just sent a note and said, "Hey, do you expect him to come back basically as soon as you get back from the road?" And the message I got was probably not, but it doesn't sound like he's that far away either. But what does that mean?
I'm not sure, but I appreciate Rutherford coming out and saying it's not going to happen. Put it to an end, because the market's buzzing a little bit out there too. Like they've been on edge in Vancouver with the Demko stuff, the way Pettersson started the year, now Miller. It's been a roller coaster in Vancouver.
And they've still been able to power through and get points and get wins, and like Lankinen.
That could have went off the rails.
Well,
big time, man. Credit to
gone
them.
off the rails, not having Demko.
Yeah.
Kevin Lankinen stopping pucks for them, and he's been fantastic.
Tons of adversity, right? Like
Yeah.
Roenick's now out for how long? I mean, this is a week-to-week thing.
Yeah, surgery, right?
I don't think
Did
it was
Hronek have
full
surgery,
on.
or
8
was it?
weeks, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's just rehabbing. He's out for up to.
Yeah.
Like he's going to be a while. I mean, the stuff they dealt with JT Miller, Demko is. I mean, we've been waiting for this guy
Besser's
to get
been
back in
out.
the net forever.
Yeah.
And there is beyond Miller, there's trade speculation around Höglander and guys like that. But when the right fit is there, Patrick Galvin and Jimmy are going to find it.
Well, exactly. It's a testament to them. Like they're 13-7-4. Like that's really impressive considering everything they've gone through.
They started poorly at home.
Yeah.
Check their home record for
Yeah.
them.
Well, remember they blew it to Calgary opening night.
But they I believe they couldn't.
Yeah,
win at
they're
home.
3-5-3 at home. That's another thing. They played a lot of games on the road.
Yeah, that was one of the things. They were having a tough time winning on home ice.
Right.
But on the road, they were rock stars, and good on them. Like there's injuries, there's weird things going throughout the league. I mean, Tyler Seguin. Like,
Yeah,
Dallas
Sagan's out basically for the year now.
He's had a really nice start too. Like, does Dallas all of a sudden have to get proactive, or they do it in house?
I think they're going to have to, though.
Yeah.
I mean, like that was basically a lower body rebuild, wasn't it? I mean, it was,
I've never even heard of what he had.
femoral something and a hip something impingement. And I mean, this guy's been under the knife a lot. Like there's a lot of miles on that chassis. And how good that team is, I think they've struggled at times. Nobody expects any team to go wire to wire. But when you're out 6 months, there's no way with that owner and the experience of Jimmy Neal, they're going to leave that market,
I
that
feel
money
awful
unchecked.
for Sagan. When I did my shoulder the last time, he was in rehab for another kind of hip type of thing, and now he's
had
going to
a
be
lot.
back in there, man. I just
He's
feel
had a
awful
lot.
for the guy.
Yeah, that probably ends his season. I mean, it's
Oh
tough.
yeah, for sure. 6
Yeah.
months.
Yeah, you're probably done at that point.
Basically.
Yeah.
All right, Dregs. Well, we'll see what comes of this. The Four Nation Face-Off.
My work was done yesterday. I'm going home.
You guys have
Just
done
here for you
everything.
guys.
You've done everything you need to.
He's going to be yelling, screaming in an hour about it. And
I got a few things to say.
Okay, good.
I got a couple things to say.
just hot takes. He's going to be moving players in and off the roster.
Yeah, I want to make a trade, a passport
We had
trade.
JD in here last hour.
Oh, he's got a new game. He's like, is this guy from Finland? Would he make Team Canada?
Of
Every
course.
player he's going
But
through.
he wanted
great
you
game.
to drop the Canadian player off. So like,
Yeah, I need a
Sebastian
Dreger hot
Aho,
list.
Take out Seth Jarvis. Let's ask Drake.
I think that's a lock, man. I think that's a lock, personally. All right. Well, I'll work on that. I'll work out the details on that. We'll do it next time you're on. All right, Dregs. Good seeing you.
You too.
Darren Dreger at TSN Hockey Insider. Bruce Boudreau coming up later this afternoon. Role play level of concern coming up. Best bets as well. Leafs back in action tonight. And week 14 in the NFL kicking off tomorrow. Packers, Lions in Detroit. Can't beat it. Owen Wilson will be on the clock. We'll start looking ahead to that. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on the TSN app.
You can never ask me to stop drinking. Do you understand?
I do. I really do.
All right, role play level of concern brought to you by Boston Pizza's new game day menu. Stop by your local BP for $7 touchdown pints, shareables for the whole crew, and weekly prizing up for grabs. Football game days are better at your local BP. Yes, cannot wait for tomorrow night. You guys are on the clock, by the way. Detroit, Green Bay. On FanDuel, I was looking this morning. I'm a little bit surprised that line's not moving. It's still Lions minus 3.5.
I think the
pretty
Lions
big line.
crush. Just my early lean.
Your lean is on the Lions. You better talk to your partner, man, because I guarantee you he's taking the points.
That's fine.
You guys just are not seeing eye to eye. Where Al's brother and I, we are in lockstep
You're on
right now.
Green Bay?
I think the Packers are going to win the game outright tomorrow night. I think they shocked the world, and they put their flag in the ground just like Michigan did at Ohio State.
That was
and they say, this is our house.
That brawl?
What a
That's
brawl,
not going to
man.
be allowed anymore, man.
Well, it happened somewhere else. There was another school where it happened
Florida
too.
State, Florida.
Yeah.
I love that.
It's so good, man. The
They come
rivalries
running
are
out
so
with the
good.
flag.
It's such a greasy play. And you know you're going to get a response.
Yes, of
Like
course.
if you come out with a flag at their house and try to put it in the middle of the field, you're going to get hit.
Yeah,
and people are going to freak out.
There were some guys getting tuned up at the bottom of the pile.
That's the
It was
worst
ugly.
feeling, man. You get down there and those guys are monsters. Some like defensive tackle jumps on you.
Stepping on your head.
Yeah, good luck.
Not good.
All right, the early lean for Owen Wilson is on the Lions.
That's just me.
Laying the points.
That's just me.
I'm intrigued by that. We'll see what your partner says. Al's brother apparently was out among the people today, and a lot of support for Hayes and Bro. Want to make sure everyone's aware of that. All right, role play level of concern. We all know how to play. Oh, you're playing the role of Josh Allen. Josh Allen, what is your level of concern? Saquon Barkley's picking up steam and will snatch up that MVP from you.
Pint on the patio for this cat because I'm Josh Allen. I have Bills Mafia. I have the incredible plays. I have Jimmy Nantz call that they play every highlight of the NFL, and it's just going into the stratosphere.
Mm-hmm.
My highlight season and what I'm capable of. He is producing, like, he is doing things that he's got enough people talking that it's just a pint on the patio, but I am aware of him.
Barkley's putting up numbers, man.
Yeah, but don't you think if Josh Allen has 2 more games where he's like the stud, it's over?
I think it's important to clarify that. He's got to close still.
Right.
Like, he's still got to finish the season.
He could easily let it slip away.
Yes.
And Barkley on vice versa has got to be incredible.
Yes.
But I think if Josh Allen has 2 more like signature performances, he wins the MVP.
Yeah, I think he will.
He's been
too.
unbelievable.
And I think they could still catch Kansas City for that top seed in the AFC. They have the tie break with them because they beat them. KC's got a really tough schedule coming up. You get the top seed and Allen finishes strong. I think Allen wins. And he's got some narrative going his way. I think he's definitively the second best quarterback in the league, and he hasn't won an MVP.
Right.
He's in his prime.
Good storyline.
Yeah, it's like give it to Josh Allen. All right, staying in Buffalo Noodles, you're the Buffalo Sabres. What is your level of concern? A rebuild from the rebuild will be needed after this season. What would it be, like a quadruple rebuild at that point?
I don't think it's that dire because I like their decor and I like their goalie and I like their – I mean, we talked about Thompson and Tuck, and they've got some good players there. But what is Steven Caldwell? No, I'm going to go Rick Bushwood.
Okay.
6 Bush Light, 6 Bud Light, and I love them, tall boys.
Fair amount of concern, man.
Yeah, but it was a week ago. They were like, "You're Buffalo Sabres."
They're not anymore. I'm out.
They could have a good week and
I
go
should have
right
known
back
better.
into it. So
they're still in the hunt to make the playoffs.
there is. I mean, when you look at it, there's an 11-point differential between top and bottom. Now we're only 24 games in, but this is how close it's going to be this season for certain teams. A 5-game winning streak or a 5-game losing streak will eliminate you, and that's how it's just going to unfold.
Mm-hmm.
Buffalo had their streak on the positive side. They left 2 ugly points last night, which was very concerning. Like, you're up 4, Cobb. You got to finish that off.
At home, you have to close that up.
Finish it off.
Reg.
Yeah, that's what's crazy.
Sneak out 1 point. Give me 1 point.
You
and
gotta
then just
close,
like,
man.
You're going to give it away,
Reg.
but they lost in reg with 4 minutes left on a.
Lehkonen scored.
Yeah, but I am Rick Bushwood and leaning north instead of south on that. I'm concerned.
I'm just seeing Masters tweet out stuff about. I don't even know why this is being asked. We'll see if we can get it. Luke Shen on Mitch Marner and the heat he takes in the market, and Stamkos on why are we asking players about this?
Yeah, like let Marner.
Marner's been unbelievable. No one's saying anything about Mitch Marner.
Why would it need to be dug up again? Like,
I don't
what the
know.
hell are
I'm
we
just
doing?
seeing the
Masters is a
quotes.
hot stove.
It's not. I don't even know if Masters asked the question. He's putting up the quotes.
Oh, so you think Stamkos and Shannon just all of a sudden said, "Oh, yeah, Mitch Marner's played great. Man, he takes a lot of heat in this market." I don't think they would do that.
See if you can find the Luke Shen and Stamkos stuff.
But they are.
I don't know why I'm
Both
getting
of
off
them,
track
I
here. I
do
just don't
believe, are
understand.
friends.
I'm not staying for that. I'm not.
Oh, you'll be a part
I'm
of this.
staying. I'm
You'll be
staying.
a part of 545. We hammer those quotes.
No.
We hammer them. All right, I'm playing the role of baseball purist. I'm a baseball purist. What is my level of concern? The golden at bat rule is coming, and the game will change forever. I have a little bit of concern because of where this trial balloon is coming from. This isn't some random reporter saying I heard something funky from an owner or an assistant GM.
No way.
This is Rob Manfred leaking this out. I'll be Stephen Caldwell.
A couple of whiskeys and 5 or 6 beers.
And my initial reaction to this is it's a really goofy suggestion, and I can't wrap my head around the idea of changing 120 years of history, that you bat in order. But I can understand why they're thinking about it, what they're trying to do. They're basically trying to manipulate the whole system, and they're trying to find a way to create viral moments. And it's kind of bothering me, and I feel like I'm getting older and older because that's what the industry is catering to now. Viral moments, what can jump on TikTok and blow up.
Right.
Well, it's best if Ohtani's taking that at bat, or Judge is taking that at bat, or Vladdy's taking that at bat. My concern would be the slippery slope is if they decide to go down this road, why stop at 1?
Right.
Why not just say everyone, you can have 3 at bats, or everyone in the lineup can hit one more time if they want to. That's what I think will happen. Once you get into this golden at bat thing, it'll be golden at bats within 5 years if it takes off.
Why can't it just be, I understand the viral moment thing you're talking about, but can it, as far as baseball goes, I don't know. There's some purists that, I'm one of them that would be like,
you bat in order.
Yes.
Right.
Like you've done enough. You got rid of pitchers don't hit anymore in baseball.
Yes, the clock, all of it's good.
The pitch clock is, yeah, exactly. You've done a lot of different things. You get to the extra innings, there's a guy in second.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like they've done a lot.
Leave it at that.
Yes.
Like, that's enough for now.
I do think this is going too far. I understand why they're doing it. This is purely marketing and trying to build up superstars. I get it. But
slippery slope.
I think it's a slippery slope.
And you're going to have the purists that'll go, well, that messes with all the stats.
Which it would. Now, stat books, record books have already been adjusted based on sports science and analytics and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Right? Starting pitchers aren't going to hit 300 wins anymore. You're not going to see 300 strikeouts anymore in a season. Right. You're not, like, all that kind of stuff has changed. Right. When we all grew up, wins and losses was the stat for pitchers.
Agreed.
You're a stud because you went 16-4, you went 22-3 or whatever. Now they've been completely thrown out because of analytics and the amount of innings and horses and complete games. That was a stat. A fifth starter could go out there and give you a complete game. It never happens anymore.
That was an amazing stat, like complete games.
It would be, you knew it. If like Jack Morris was on the mound that day, that guy was pitching 9 innings.
Nolan Ryan, like guys
all
like
day, man. Roy Halladay, all the time. He'd get lit up in the first inning and then settle in and give you 9 innings, and it was phenomenal.
Crazy.
But this is coming from Manfred and the owners, the power brokers of baseball.
Yeah.
Stevie Caldwell, you got to be a little bit concerned.
Yeah.
You're playing the role of the Toronto Blue Jays. I don't know if you saw this Instagram gate. We had a Vladdy like on Instagram today.
Yes.
See the post? There was some...
with him and Devers.
Devers and Soto. Some Boston Red Sox super fan Instagram account posted a picture that's obviously edited of Vladdy in a Red Sox uniform, obviously Devers, who is a Red Sox and is signed long-term, and Soto as a Red Sox, and said something like Big Three,
Yeah.
And Vladdy liked the picture.
Like the first Vladdy Jr. 27.
Yeah, I had to go and check it myself to make sure
verified. It wasn't like
he liked it, and he has not unliked it. Like Vladdy's, again, looking at that, saying, "I like the way that looks." The three of us, and you got the Dominican flag in the background, and they're all Dominican. They're all buddies.
You got to be careful. That could,
but
be
that's
fake
not
news.
like that's the Red Sox within the division. If it was the Arizona Diamondbacks super fan, you'd be like, all right, go ahead, have some fun with it. That's the Sox. Devers is already there. The Sox apparently are all in on Soto. I don't know. Like, it could have been an accidental like, but at this point, you can't be doing that if you're Vladdy, man.
Accidental like, but then you unlike it.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially when it catches some...
Unless it's a message to the Blue Jays, like, hey, I'm out of here, man.
Dude, I'm a Stevie Caldwell. Because maybe they're... Let's hear it, JP.
A couple of whiskeys and 5 or 6 beers.
That's the
question. Maybe they're going to pull a Miami Heat down there and get a big 3 and try to create something. I don't know. And don't you think Vladdy is, like, tired of waiting around for his payday? Like, it's like, when is that coming?
That's the thing, man.
He's been to ARB, 2 or 3 times?
Yep.
And he's going to be saying, Maybe he wants next year to be his year, where he's like the guy, because that is a possibility, isn't it?
Well, those are the reports now. A lot of people in baseball think there's nothing the Jays could do. They've waited too long, and he's seeing what's going on with Soto and others. If he goes out there and hits 45 home runs,
watch out.
Why would he? Why not go to the market? Why not have Boston call up and say, "We'll give you $450 million"?
Has he hired Scott Boras yet?
No, I don't believe Boras is his agent.
And dude, there was a time, and I always bring this up, where Ronald Acuna signed for $100 million, and I guarantee you they could have gone to Vladdy the next day and said, "Do you want $100 million?" And he would have said yes.
Yeah.
And they didn't do it.
They did not do it. Now at the same time, Tatis was signing that monster deal.
Now, if they want to do it, they're going to have to pay $300 or $400 more.
Oh yeah, like he's not signing today. I don't think for anything under $350. Like at that's the start for Vladdy because he's gone this far,
right?
And he's probably going to bet on himself.
And there'll be a marketplace.
And there will be if he has a really good look what he did in the second half this year, phenomenal. Even forget the second half. He had a slow start. Beyond that, he was a rock star this year.
Yeah.
He plays anything to that level, he is going to get paid a fortune, even though he plays first base. And he'll probably be a DH by the end of the contract, maybe within the next few years.
Yeah.
Guy's a hitter, man. He's a player. So the Blue Jays, I think, probably going to be concerned about that. And he's aware of the reports. It doesn't mean this is accurate, but there's a belief if they're in on Soto, they're trying to get him and they're going to let Vladdy walk. Like they're going to give the money to Soto and basically say, Vladdy, we'll keep you for a year, but we can't pay you beyond that, which to me would be ridiculous. But that's what I think is going to be a big part of the conversation all year is what happens with Vladdy, what happens with Bo. They're both.
Why would they want to do
years.
that though with Soto and let Vladdy walk? Did they not see what the Dodgers did? If you want to play ball, literally,
yes,
with
exactly.
These guys, you got to have a stacked team.
That's why I couldn't make sense of that either. If you're willing to go to the extent where you're going to pay Soto like $650 million, you're going to stop there.
Keep Vladdy.
Keep Soto. There's your guy.
You're just going to be a brutal team with a guy that makes $600 million.
Exactly.
That's all you're going to be.
Makes no sense.
Yeah,
makes you. If anything, it would make it even more imperative you keep Vladdy. Keep them both.
Agreed.
Right. You got a lefty. You got a righty. You got two studs in the middle of your lineup. Build around that, and you're all in.
Yep.
Noodles, you're playing the role of the Canadian snubs for the Four Nations face-off. Okay. All of the different players who thought were on the bubble that didn't make it. What is your level of concern that not making the Four Nations means you likely will not make the Olympic team next season? That this is a clear-cut message. Pack your bags.
I'm going Stevie Caldwell.
A couple of whiskeys and 5 or 6 beers.
Because I'm not Rick Bushwood. Because I think your play is still going to dictate. If you have a great rest of this season, if you end up going deep into the playoffs, you end up having a great start to next season. You're on their radar. It just didn't work out this particular one, but you got to push through. And a lot of it is how your play is early in this season and what you're capable of doing in the next calendar year. So I'm not a pint on the patio, but I'm not Rick Bushwood. I'm kind of right in that middle.
Yeah, there's got to be some guys that feel if they have a really good stretch run this year and into next year, they can still play themselves onto that team.
Absolutely.
Right? Like now I would fear if I'm an older guy that this is it. This is a clear-cut message.
Yeah,
if I'm in well into my 30s, you're not probably spinning it around next year.
Agreed.
But on the flip side of that, if you're Connor Bedard, okay, didn't make it.
Right.
I got to get going here. If I have a great start next year, I could still possibly make that team.
Here's the other thing that I could also factor in. What if this team, this Canadian team, doesn't do well in this tournament?
True, too.
Then all bets are off.
And then it's like, okay, we have to have a different philosophy. The players that we left off are probably going to be right in front and center in that mix.
If they stink the joint out, all bets are off.
Yep.
Excluding the big guys.
Right.
Well, and ultimately it should fall on the big guys.
Well, yeah. No,
we're obviously management's going to have to answer some questions, but if you get there and your best players don't perform, make them answer the question.
I agree.
Like the best players better show up and play, right?
Yeah.
Like McDavid and McKinnon, McCarr, Marner. Like you guys are in your prime. You got to go win this thing for us. And next year, role play level of concern brought to you by Boston Pizza's new game day menu. Stop by your local BP for $7 touchdown pine shareables for the whole crew, and weekly prizing up for grabs. Football game days are better at your local BP.
I got one more for you though.
Yeah.
level of concern there's any cookies left back on that table out there.
There is not a chance there's a crumb out there.
There have been some pigs that have rolled
Thanks
through.
to our guy.
You can never ask me to stop drinking.
Yeah,
So
Chrissy,
Chris.
our boy Chris over at Craig's Cookies. I guess it's International Cookie Day. Everyone gets a cookie. International Cookie Day.
Everyone
Who
gets
determined
a
that?
cookie. There was 12 packs walking away.
They are phenomenal
Doogie
cookies.
and JP, come and flip the pockets out. I want to see what's in there, you guys.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It is just Joe from the bridge.
Not the
everybody.
best.
Not the
exactly.
best. I can only imagine what's going on back there. Joe from the bridge got it. He got a batch.
He just,
I think all the boys back there.
deservedly so. He
I
puts
think
the
so.
work in, but man, oh man, like that. There was a tray. We opened the tray.
Yes.
I went just to say a quick hello to somebody at SportsCenter. Came back and it was
Gone.
like
There was a Cookie Monster came by, man.
rats had eaten it all. It was
Someone was
unbelievable.
grabbing one-timers and funneling them
Just going to work.
down their gullets or in some bag. I don't know what happened there,
Good
but
stuff though.
there could be video evidence of that.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be terrifying? Because there are cameras in here. If someone like video went viral or whatever, or started circulating through the building of like a cat burglar just coming in and just taking the whole batch of cookies,
Somebody just dropping down from the roof.
I kind of want to see that.
And then away they go.
I kind of want to see that.
It was
All right.
awesome.
Leafs Preds tonight. We'll continue to tee that up. Bruce Boudreau coming up. We know who's on the Swedish team, the Finnish team, and we're waiting for full confirmation, but I think we've got a pretty good idea of who the Americans are going to have and who Canada's going to have at the Four Nations face-off. So we'll continue to look ahead to that. Our best bet's still coming up as well. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 4. All right, best bet's brought to you by FanDuel coming up. Al's brother is somewhere in the city with a pair of Leaf tickets. We don't know exactly where Al's brother is yet. He's in an alleyway yesterday, creeping people out, bothering people. But we sent him out somewhere, and he's hiding, and he's got a pair of Leaf tickets, and you have to find out where he is in order for you to maybe have a chance to win them. You guys ready for the third clue of the week?
Yep.
Hey, OverDrive fans, it's Wednesday, and I'm back to get you one step closer to finding out where in the world is Al's brother. Here is your Wednesday clue. This is a really good spot to be if you're into art, photography, or even just looking for a nice selfie for the gram.
Where is that?
Art, photography.
Is he at the ROM or something like that? I don't know where Al's brother is. You got to tune in tomorrow. He's lost us. Like, I have no idea where he is. You would think these are tickets for Game 7 of a Cup final. I mean, you really got to know the city to know where this guy is.
He ain't at the Science Center, I'll tell you that.
He's definitely not. He's definitely not. Tune in tomorrow for another clue. And the first caller through on Friday with the correct location will win a pair of tickets to see an upcoming Maple Leaf game. Find Al's brother, brought to you by McAlpine Ford in Aurora. Our family, the Ford family, and you. All right. There you go. Okay. Tomorrow on the show, we have another hour up, but you're going to be doing panel work for this Four Nations face-off. Luke will be back. Packers, Lions. Go time. Your early lean is on Detroit. I have a feeling,
he's messing with you.
No, they have the pick. I mean, listen, we're +3. We're in the driver's
right
seat. It's 3.5. Lions -3.5.
Side hunch, just me and you.
Done.
Yeah.
Points? Me
Yes.
getting the points.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll take
But that's
Green
not
Bay in the points.
representing me and my partsy because we make a team decision.
Okay. I will take the points. I think at a
guys-
minimum it's a close game.
You're
tomorrow.
+3 now, so there was a pushback from these guys.
Well,
you know that
not
Detroit's
really.
been slaughtering teams, though. You know that, right? That's your fan bias. Your fan.
Green Bay has been too. Look at you guys picked Miami at Lambeau last week. They got destroyed.
Oh, really? How hard is it to play against guys that can't play when the weather's like that?
Well, I understand that. Maybe you should have considered that before you took the points.
Tua had never won.
That was
in
the
cold
dumbest
weather.
pick. Like,
Awful pick.
yeah.
Only possibly worse was taking the Niners in Buffalo during
Dude,
the snowstorm.
I'm done with thinking about this weird thing that could happen. It's just what's gonna good, bad.
That-
Give me the big picture idea.
Generally starts with who do you think is going to win the game.
Yes.
Start there and then take the points
Stop
into
trying
consideration.
to think. Oh, it's gonna snow and this guy or
No.
that guy. Screw it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Canada, U.S., their rosters are coming out. Four Nations face-off. Big panel work for the boys tonight. Looking forward to it. SportsCenter is going to have everything covered. We're going to have everything covered in the next hour. Bruce Boudreau coming up on that and more still to come as well. And our best bets as well in the final hour. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on the TSN app.